Viper
It just
is
doesn't show up today.
supposed I would be so upset if Viper reached out just to be like, hey, I can do the stream today, and then didn't fucking show up. The amount of salty I would be is unfucking real, man.
It would have been funnier, like, hey, something came up. Sorry, couldn't be there.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad, but I would be a little upset.
Hey, it would blind the side the fuck out of you, though.
Right? I mean, like, I've been refreshing myself on FNAF lore all day. So if Viper just didn't show up, that would
Oof.
really fucking suck. I just
I don't
gotta
remember who Retro is. You said you knew him, so I was like, do I know him?
uh maybe.
Huh.
Maybe. Here, let me mute my my mic real quick and then I'll tell you, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's who it is,
look at
so.
me.
I
Like
really need to like
remembering people is hard for me.
yeah, no, you're good. I get it. I
I
need
also now have an
to
orb of static souls. A new orb.
set a oh, what's it called?
Oh, Jesus.
Keybind for muting my mic.
Right.
I'll get to
Ooh,
it eventually.
safeguard, calm mind, sunny day. Oh, it moves terrible. Okay.
Gotta text
Da, da, da,
Viper.
da, da. EVs.
Damn it.
Zero EVs. All right.
Well, if Viper doesn't
I need
show up in the next, like, minute, maybe two, then I think it's time. Viper just said, yeah, they're ready. And I'm already streaming, so now I'm just waiting for Viper to show up so we can get into the Freddy's lore. We're waiting every night to finally romance and fight. 5 Freddy's at night. No. I'm so good at singing. Clearly.
I know, right?
Every time I sing, it's like I'm reminded why I'm God and nobody else is. Because I'm just that good at it. Did you just love the reasoning?
Because I'm God and no one else is good at it.
It's funny. Oh Viper, where art thou? Oh Viper, my friend, where art
The Discord.
thou?
They're in the
Hello.
VC with us.
Oh really? Oh, see, I didn't hear it all.
They're just letting you babble.
Honestly, I was. I was just waiting.
Okay. So you ready to learn about the FNAF lore?
Yes, I am.
Okay, what do you know about the Freddy's lore so far?
Nothing.
Do you have any even the smallest semblance of an idea of what happens in the Freddy's lore?
I've watched a few videos on it, but I always end up falling asleep because I'm always so tired. So
Okay.
I don't remember anything afterwards.
So
I can't wait to
you
tune
can't
all
give
this
me
out.
like the most basic premise of what the FNAF story is about.
They're evil animatronics.
Why are
There
they
you go.
evil?
Cause I don't remember the name, but I know some guy killed like 5 kids, right? And then he ended up stuffing them in the bodies of like the animatronic stuff, and then they became haunted, like something like that. I know that. That's all I know.
That's how it started. Not quite sure that's how it still is at this
But
point.
that's
So-
all I know. Okay.
I was,
Okay.
That was a summon.
Is he streaming?
Oh,
Don't worry, Def.
That
I
is
won't,
one.
No, I won't count that. Def didn't know that I was streaming. It's okay.
I messaged him the moment you walked in, so.
Okay, Def, are you gonna be on board with explaining the FNAF lore to Viper here?
oh,
You say
shit.
he has no fucking idea what's happening. Yes.
Dude, I only know the arc of like when it's fucking 4. That's the only thing I remember. Only up to 4.
You only know the lore. Oh, you poor bastard.
It's because I didn't like all the all the other ones, like Sister
Oh,
Location. It was a dull to me.
Christ,
That's why I was
this
just like,
is gonna be such
this-
a
Oh, come on,
long
Shadow
night.
no, I understand like part of Sister Location, but I was just like, I don't care about this shit. That's just my
Okay.
opinion.
I need you to now into the title of the stream. I need you to put part 1 of 2 question mark.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Oh
Who
god.
knows?
Oh,
if this is gonna be
is are your little gremlins watching?
No, not yet.
all your little gremlins.
You gotta call them
got me.
gremlins. What'd they do to you?
They're crotch goblins, okay?
What's it called, guys? I'm gonna buy a dirt bike,
Next.
like a legal to drive dirt bike.
Walmart?
Yes, I do work at Walmart.
Okay, then I know which one you are now.
Wow.
Oh my god, you still didn't know?
No, I didn't.
That's funny.
Wow.
Hey, you didn't understand my
Well, because I went to
I've been
Walmart
making
today.
bank at Walmart. I can't lie. I've been making
Well,
bank
because
at Walmart.
I went to Walmart today, and I was walking into the store, and I see him outside struggling to put a TV into a car, and I was like, that might be the one I'm thinking of.
No, it's because, dude, I had to deal with the most like college girls. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm just like
They look like college girls. They look like they
I was pissed. Like, bro, I was like mentally, I just wanted to be like, shut the fuck up. Let me open the door.
Just looked like he was struggling to put the TV into the
I
car.
was just stressed. Like, I know what to do. I was just being stressed because she was like one of those girls where,
Hi,
like,
hello.
if you
If
expose
wanna
like
come
a
watch
certain
me
type of
stream
clothing,
on YouTube,
he thinks the
I'm
whole world
currently
hates you.
explaining the FNAF lore to one of my friends, and it's a goddamn nightmare. So come, someone keep my sanity intact.
No one
Hi,
keeping
hello.
his sanity intact. He doesn't need that shit.
I'm going to if I'm gonna get through this night.
I like how mid sentence he forgot what he was gonna say and then he saved himself.
Hold on. I'm gonna be getting.
Oh,
at work.
that's
next
Def,
by
that's
next-
that's
That's
a
the
fuck
mark.
up. That's a fuck up.
I know, but like it's an important situation actually. So my schedule's gonna be fucked up for Walmart now. I'm gonna be working what's it called or I'm gonna try to get the schedule for 9 to 6. So that's happening because my mom's moving out, and now I'm gonna be by myself with my I don't really know what to call him anymore. My
I'm his name.
I hate to
I
interrupt
still
this
feel my- I still feel
incredibly
my father.
tense
My
moment, but I
stepdad.
need to film another promo spot, so give me a second.
And I don't want to say his name because of stream, so I'm just gonna call him my stepdad, which I still do.
Hello, I'm currently explaining the FNAF lore to one of my friends on stream if you want to come watch, because my sanity is dwindling and I need help. I need to record that again, it was too long.
Why are you explaining the lore in the first place?
Hello, if you want to come watch me stream on YouTube, I'm currently explaining the FNAF lore to a friend, and my sanity is dwindling. Please come help.
Gabby, just watch Game Theory.
A game
think-
theory!
I think. Hey, that's a fuck up. He did it. He called me by my name.
Oh, you're right, he did. That's another one, Def, you fucking loser.
Oh man, this is ending up so great.
We haven't even started. We haven't even.
My front of my face, I can feel all the backflash that's about to happen when I fall asleep because I took an allergy pill.
Oh god. Def, you're almost
Like
at
the-
10
the-
fuck-ups already. How the fuck?
I don't give a fuck today, honestly. I'm pissed.
Golly.
I don't know what to think. because my mom's moving out. I have no ride. I need to get a car, but I'm thinking just
Someone
get a
should have
dirt.
got their license. We talked
No,
about
okay,
this
so
My
so
mom-
much.
My mom works day
Okay,
shift at Walmart.
so-
If you need a ride, let me know. She might be able to do carpool with you. We can talk about it after stream, but just saying.
No, the thing is, when me and Elazar, fuck, how do you say his name? How do you say his
Just
autistic-
say
Call
Dan
him
Dan.
Dan the Feet Man.
Dan the Feet Man.
So Dan, me and him were like on the phone on when I was at Walmart
10
on my lunch
minutes in,
break.
and I haven't even fucking
So-
started on the FNAF floor yet.
So we're talking and we just brought like bikes into this. I was like, I'm gonna buy a bike because I can just. Honestly, I don't give a fuck. I would rather drive a bike, ride a bike. And he was like, dude, get a dirt bike, get a legal dirt bike. And I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe that's gonna be like probably like $3 grand.
Dirt bike.
So he goes like, that's probably gonna be like four or $5 grand. I was like, no, I can see it's $30 grand. It's $3 grand. $3 grand. All I have to do is just get my motorcycle license for a dirt bike. It's legally to drive on the road. It's not bad. And then I can just use that and then save up actual money and actually get a car so I can just go right out of town. Because no matter what, I'm gonna be in town.
Well, are we ready?
I am way too terrified to go in a dirt
I've
bike out of
been
town.
ready to start explaining the FNAF floor. I've been waiting for Def to
But
be ready.
are your viewers in? Because I can say my thing.
Well, nobody has said anything in chat yet, so I'm not sure. But we can go ahead and get started.
Okay, well, I guess we gotta begin it like this. So, this is your daily dose of N-word. Okay,
See, I
there you
have
go.
Lo-Fi Green Hill playing in the background. So you hear Lo-Fi Green Hill Zone, and then this is your daily dose of N-word.
This is on broadcast. Sound exchange.
Yeah. Okay.
This is Green Hill Zone broadcast.
Right. I'm sorry, but since we're explaining the FNAF lore, I have to do this because this is it's something that I've always wanted to have the opportunity to do. And because Matt Pat's never gonna notice me, Senpai, please notice me. He's never gonna notice me, so I'm never gonna get the chance to do this. But just once.
I'm putting this in the Snapchat.
Just once, I would like to do the Hello Internet, welcome to Game Theory, where today we're gonna talk about the Five Nights at Freddy's timeline. Viper, you know jack shit about Freddy's other than dead kids stuffed in robots, right?
Basically.
Well,
Wait, are
you're
you bringing
in
the
for
books into this or not?
Dude, we're bringing everything into this.
Well,
I'm gonna
okay.
give you the entire FNAF timeline to the best of my knowledge.
But I know bits and pieces, but to explain to you, have to explain to you, I would not be able to do it correctly. I would jump around to
Okay.
different things.
Well, if there's things that you do already know, just let me know, and we can skip over those things.
Crimson.
Gotcha.
Cosmic.
Yeah. What's up? Did you call me
You're
Crimson?
gonna write this. You mean?
I was gonna say,
Yes. Okay. I was looking at something.
Can
that's
we
why I was
count
reading.
that as a name fuck up? Because
No, technically not.
but he
That
called
is
me the
your
wrong
name.
name. He didn't say my real name, but we
I
didn't
didn't say your real
say.
name. We counted name fuck ups as real names. I never said your real name.
We never agreed what we counted as a name fuck up.
Never agreed what we'd call each other. We just said as close as we could to our gamer tags.
Yeah.
So I was kind of close. So
Sure,
Anyways.
buddy. All right, whatever.
Started with the C.
I had to see it.
the only
Okay.
thing related to it is the letter C.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. What's up, Jeff? When did this start? About 15 minutes ago, Mangle. We haven't even gotten into the Freddy's lore yet, so don't worry about it. We're gonna start here in just a couple of minutes.
I was gonna say you should
Someone
type it.
here.
You should type it while you're saying this, so your viewers have to go get a drink and come back. They can know where you're at.
Yeah, you're probably right. Here, I have to get my little keyboard thing.
You You're gonna type all of this while you're so Jesus Christ.
I'm not typing everything I write. I'm just typing
Like,
like the
he's gonna summarize it, but he's gonna be
approximation
talking
of
it out. Like basically what I'm trying to tell him to say. So like,
He's
if
gonna die
someone.
for knowledge.
Okay.
Okay.
So like, if one of his viewers go do something, and he has to come back. They're gonna be like, "What the fuck?" Just okay. They can
So are we gonna keep bullshitting, or are we gonna get to the FNAF lore?
Okay, hurry up. I'll mute myself.
Okay. So, how far back do you want to start? Do you want to start from like the very, very beginning, like the early days of?
Take me through the whole thing.
Okay. Do you want me to start at the beginning of the FNAF timeline, or starting with the first game and explaining the timeline from there?
Very first time, we're going through it.
From the very beginning of the timeline.
Yes.
Chapter 1.
Chapter
crime scene.
1. No, the crime scene wasn't chapter 1, you fucking stupid bitch. Okay. So, right now the community is kind of operating under a theory that Henry Emily and William Afton, both of those names, super, super important. Remember those names. Both of those names came from the books, but we're assuming that those are the names of their game counterparts as well. But remember the names William Afton and Henry Emily, right? Both of them, both are amazing robotic engineers. And the community is kind of working under the theory that they both had their own separate franchises of characters. Their own pizza places that were kind of doing their own thing for a while, right? And what we're guessing is that Henry had they're called the mediocre melodies, which are Pig Patch, Happy Frog, Orville Elephant, Ned Bear, Mr. Hippo, those characters that are kind of considered like not super important to the lore. We're guessing that those characters are Henry Emily original creations, right? And that was his own pizza chain of restaurants. Or I guess it was just one restaurant. And then William Afton, on the other hand, had the Freddy's characters. Or, more specifically, Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, Foxy were kind of his characters. And at some point, they merged together, and we got Fredbear's Family Diner, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is kind of one of those things where there's a lot of debate in the community on how this works, mainly because we're not sure when the original Fredbear's was open. Because what we're told in FNAF 2, and we're not sure if this has been retconned, there's been no confirmed retcons, but in FNAF 2, there's a phone call where Phone Guy talks about the original restaurant before the first Freddy's location, and it was a place called Fredbear's Family Diner. There's a lot of debate in the community on whether or not that restaurant, Fredbear's Family Diner, is the one that we see in FNAF 4. I don't think it is, but there's a lot of heated debate about it, right? Because all things considered, we don't really know much about the early days of how Henry and William started working together, how everything happened, any of that. We don't really know how any of that happened. But at some point, Henry Emily and Michael Afton. That's another name that you gotta remember, but that's not who I'm talking about right now. Henry Emily and William Afton eventually start working together and go into business together and franchise Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, right? And during this time is when FNAF 4 would happen. What we're told in FNAF 4 is that there are, different locations. There's the ones that have the Freddy's characters, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, but then there's also another location open at the same time that has Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, which are the two golden Springlock suits. Do you know what a Springlock suit is?
Yes, I've heard about that one.
Okay, what is a Springlock suit?
Isn't it where you're able to get into? I believe those are the ones you're able to get into, and like you're able to control them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you can use a crank, and it'll pull the animatronic parts to the inside of the suit, and you can kind of climb in And just make sure those spring locks are locked tight, because if you breathe on them wrong, you get crushed to death, which sucks.
I remember watching. Yeah.
Okay. So, this is kind of where we get to the first point in the lore where we're not really sure about it, because nobody really knows when it takes place, right? Sister location, Five Nights at Freddy's sister location, I like to think takes place sometime before FNAF 4. Because in sister location, we find out that there's a little girl who is the daughter of William Afton, the purple guy. Yeah. Her name is Elizabeth. We don't know that until later, but her name is Elizabeth. We know that Elizabeth...
the one who dies to Baby, I believe that's her name?
Yeah. She ends up getting killed by Baby and possesses Baby. And in FNAF 4, if you're paying attention, you notice that the little girl's bedroom, Elizabeth's bedroom, is empty. Elizabeth isn't there. She doesn't show up once throughout the entire game. She's not even mentioned. The crying child and his older brother don't even recognize having a sister, right?
Yeah.
But we see a little girl's bedroom. And given the fact that it's empty, I think that by the time FNAF 4 happens, Elizabeth has to already be dead, has to already be a part of Baby. Which would mean that it's entirely possible that the first iterations of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy were the Funtime animatronics. That's not a very popular theory, because it introduces a whole fuck ton of complications to the timeline. But I genuinely think that sister location, not the game sister location, but the cutscenes where Baby kills Elizabeth, that has to happen at some point before FNAF 4. So that means Circus Baby's Pizza has to open and then immediately close on its first day at some point before the crying child is bitten by Fredbear.
Yeah. I know about that.
Yeah. So, just saying, that puts Sister Location as not really the first game in the timeline, but it puts events depicted in the game as some of the first in the timeline. But at the same time, the reason why that's questioned, who caused the bite of 1987? The bite of 87, we don't really know for sure, but I like to think it's Mangle. We're gonna get to that here in a bit. But some of the big stuff with Sister Location is that the Funtime animatronics were specifically designed to capture children and contain and kill them so that Afton could experiment on their remnant. Do you know what remnant is?
No, I just know that he did make animatronics to kill children. I know that.
Yeah. So remnant is basically human soul, right? It is quite literally just, your soul. A lot of the times it's depicted as like a molten soul metal, because a lot of the times in order to get remnant you have to melt down the endoskeleton of whatever animatronic is possessed, and that gives you kind of liquid magma remnant shit. But that's not the only way. Liquid person. It's liquid soul juice.
Liquid person.
Anyway.
Can you stretch out laser geese?
So that's kind of the first big complication in the timeline, is whether or not there's an inconsistency, because we were told that there was a retcon when Sister Location came out. It's the only confirmed retcon, but he didn't say what it was. He said that there has been only one retcon, and it happened right after Sister Location came out. Which tells me that it's entirely possible that maybe Elizabeth was just visiting her mom when Sister Location, or like when FNAF 4 is happening, because Mrs. Afton is nowhere to be found. We have no idea where Mrs. Afton is. It's entirely possible that Elizabeth just wasn't with William, Michael, and Evan at the time.
Mhm.
So that's a big kind of point of contention. MatPat confuses shit all to hell. I love MatPat to death, and I listen to everything he says. I don't necessarily believe everything he says, but I take it all into account. But I literally haven't even got past like the first incident in the franchise. So at some point, William Afton kind of goes on a murder spree. We're not really sure why. But at some point,
About that. He lures, there's like a party, right? And he lures like 4 or 5, I think, children to the back, and he stuffs their body into the animatronics, and that's when he starts all that. Yeah. I know that.
And we know from a voice line in Ultimate Custom Night that Chico was actually the first. She's a little girl named Susie. Susie was the first girl to get stuffed and possess a suit. Which, you know, I don't like that, but it's confirmed that Susie was the first and that she has kind of seen everything. So the original 5, I was the first, I've seen everything. Yeah, exactly right, Mangle. So the missing children's incident has to be the first event in the timeline. Whether or not any other deaths had occurred prior to that isn't exactly clear, because there's really no motivation for why Afton would just kill 5 kids. A lot of people try to justify it as like, oh, well, it's after the bite. But if it's after, you know, Evan gets bit by Fredbear, then why are there stories about the animatronics coming to life and attacking people at night? Why are we told that Evan saw something? You know, he is told multiple times by, you know, his little Fredbear plush, you know what happens if he catches you. Remember what you saw. So we know that Evan saw something. Presumably, the first missing children's incident. 5 kids lured into the back room by a Spring Bonnie animatronic, and their bodies are stuffed into the suits.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And shortly after that, you know, rumors start spreading. Evan eventually hears about it. He becomes terrified. He sees the missing children's incident happen, presumably. He sees it happen, presumably. And he's terrified of the Springlock suits now. He's terrified of the yellow suits because he knows what happens if they get to you. Which is really fucked up, but, you know, it is what it is. So, missing children's incident happens. What's up, Def?
No, I said trauma.
Trauma.
Everybody loves that shit.
So, hey, Matthew.
Yeah, Viper. This whole entire history is usually just theories bundled up and like a little bit of Snip's truths.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a lot of like guesstimation, unfortunately.
Because we don't know the whole story. Not like
it's a lot of guesstimation up until FNAF 6 is when the guesstimation stops and it becomes like a cohesive story. So
I thought Evan's fear of animatronics came from his dad, like forcefully like making him fear all of these animatronics so he didn't get killed by any of them. I thought that's where that came from.
Well, we don't really know. That's the thing, is we have no concrete point in time as to when FNAF... We all assume that FNAF 4 takes place in 1983.
Mm-hmm.
We assume that it takes place in 1983, and that him getting bit is the whole thing. And, that's all well and good, but that also leaves a big question as to who the first victim actually is. Who is the first child to die? Because, if we're speaking from a storytelling standpoint, it would make more sense for Charlie, Henry's daughter, to be, the first person to die. It would make total sense if, William and Henry had this big disagreement. And I mean, the first child to die because Afton killed them. It would make more sense if the puppet were first. Henry, or not Henry, Evan gets bit by the Fredbear animatronic. He dies. He blames Henry because Henry built Fredbear. And then, as kind of payback for his youngest son dying to one of Henry's creations, he kills Charlie.
But in reality, it wasn't his fault, was it? It wasn't his older brothers unintentionally.
Well, yeah, it was Michael's fault, but a lot of people try to justify why Afton starts killing kids to begin with, because we really don't know. Because we don't know what happens first.
Murdering children, got
right.
it.
So we don't know if the missing children's incident takes place before Evan dies or after Evan dies. And a lot, the reason why we assume that it has to happen before he dies is because of that Chica line, "I was the first, I have seen everything." Which means that, for whatever reason, Susie was the first kid to die. Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's one of the few things in the series that we actually know for certain. And it's not even all that clear. So, presumably, why does Golden Freddy say it's me? Our best guess is that that's Evan, because from what we know, there's two spirits possessing Golden Freddy. There is Evan, who's the crying child, the youngest Afton son. We don't know that his name is actually Evan, it's just kind of a fan name that was given to him. Hi, Foxy. But we know that there's two spirits inside Golden Freddy. There's Evan, the crying child, and there is Cassidy, who is the vengeful spirit that we hear about in Ultimate Custom Night. Now, those two spirits, we're not really sure what the fuck's going on with that. But what we do know, for sure, what you doing? We're talking about the FNAF lore. So what we do know is that there are two spirits inside of Golden Freddy, presumably, based on what we know. There is the crying child, the youngest Afton kid, and there is Cassidy. I'm guessing this, because we still have no idea why, but I'm guessing that the reason why Golden Freddy says it's me in FNAF 1, I can't really remember if he says it in FNAF 2, but I'm guessing that that's Evan kind of recognizing his older brother and saying hey, it's me, I'm here, I'm still in the suit. Because Golden Freddy is Fredbear. I mean, that's not a very popular thing to say, but Golden Freddy is Fredbear. I always thought it was Chris Afton. Well, again, there's no official name for it, but the community name that has been widely accepted for almost since FNAF 4 even came out was Evan. Since I think it was only a couple of months after FNAF 4 came out that it really became widespread, that everybody was just calling him Evan. For various reasons, it was just a community name that caught on really quickly. But he doesn't really have an actual name, which is why MatPat almost exclusively calls him the Crying Child, because he doesn't have an actual name. The only two Afton kids, well, the only other two Aftons, aside from William, who have official names are Michael Afton and Elizabeth Afton.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's a big point of contention about whether or not isn't Cece his nickname besides Crying Child? Well, yeah, it kind of depends on who you ask in the community. A lot of newer community members have been, because there's been a lot of influx of little kids to the FNAF community. Sortudo64, hello, don't know who you are, but hi. Welcome to the stream. We're talking about the FNAF lore. A lot of it really does just depend on who you ask. The part of the community that I'm always interacting with has always gone with Evan. So, I mean, that was kind of the general consensus around when FNAF 4 came out. So, I don't even remember where it originated, to be honest with you. But it's been so long at this point that I don't even question it. I mean, it's been 8 years, so... yeah. Anyway, so, moving on. At some point, We're gonna kind of skip past Evan dying to Golden Freddy, or to Fredbear. Evan gets chomped by Fredbear, goes on to possess the suit. Is Michael Foxy in FNAF 1? No. Michael isn't Foxy in FNAF. Michael is the security guard in FNAF 1. You know what, Viper, do you have any questions about the FNAF lore before I keep explaining? Any questions about anything I've said so far?
Oh. How Evan got into the suit. Like, I know he was bitten by the suit, but I don't ever remember being explained to how he got into the suit.
Well, we don't really know. And that kind of, like, leads into the thing that Gregory is, like, a rebuilt robot Evan, which is a MatPat theory that a lot of people really, really hate. But it's like, we don't really know.
Gregory.
Gregory. Are you a robot child, Gregory?
Oh,
Yeah, I have Captain
Foxy.
Foxy back there. Captain Foxy he's back there. He's been stream mascot since Security Breach came out. Somebody got him for me the day that I bought Security Breach, so.
I know he's been there for a while.
Yeah, Captain Foxy has been the official stream mascot for like a while.
Yeah, he has. He really has.
Yeah. If you didn't know, Foxy is my favorite animatronic of all of them. So, I mean, yeah. Anyway. So, where was I? What was I talking about? Right. So, at some point, Evan dies, gets bitten. 5 kids go missing. Their bodies are stuffed into the suits. And Charlie is murdered outside of a Freddy's location by Afton and possesses the security puppet.
Yeah, I remember that. I know that.
Okay,
yeah.
so those are all things that happen at some point prior to FNAF 2. All of that happens before FNAF 2, but it's kind of unclear when it happens. And also...
Wait, wasn't the puppet made to, like, protect her in a sense? Wasn't it made for that? Like, so it could watch her, just so nothing happened to her? I believe that's what that was? Or...
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of assumed that the reason why the security puppet was even made was because because Henry saw... You know what, I'm just going to grab Captain Foxy. Was because Henry saw that William was kind of going off the deep end and decided it would be a good idea to... that's not what I meant to do. Decided it would be a good idea to... How do I get him kind of in... We'll just leave Foxy down there. He'll chill down there for a while.
Cripply standing in one eye.
But kind of what we guess is that Henry saw that it was supposed to say that I thought Michael was Foxy. It makes sense now that he's the guard. Yeah, why would Michael be Foxy? Michael is still around all the way up into FNAF 6. You play as Michael in FNAF 6 too. So, I mean, he can't really be Foxy. I mean, he wears a Foxy mask in FNAF 4 to pick on Evan, but that's pretty much it.
See, that's where I thought, because I've watched this video, that's where I thought it came into play that his dad was, like, also bullying him into, like, fearing the animatronics, so he went nowhere near them so they didn't kill him. And he also enjoyed that his brother did it because it also gave him a little bit more incentive for him not to go around them.
Yeah.
And that's what fight happened with him, was because it was like, he took him there and he ended up...
I know what you're talking about, and you're right, but only if Elizabeth is already dead by the time FNAF 4 happens. The whole inspiration for why Afton would want him to stay away from the animatronics would be that one of his kids already died to an animatronic, and that would be Elizabeth. And for Elizabeth to die before FNAF 4 would mean that Afton would have already had to kill 5 kids. It would mean that he would have already had to
Or he wasn't
experience
finishing the
Remnant.
kinks yet.
Or what?
Or he hasn't finished what he was trying to build from those robots. Like, they were still in kind of like, what's it called, testing phase.
Well, because that's the thing, though. He designed the Funtime animatronics with the specific intent to capture and kill so he could experiment with Remnant. It's in their blueprints.
The baby was made, right? It was made. She was made to capture kids. Like, she was made to lure kids in on by themselves after they were like. She was able to recognize child was alone. That's why Elizabeth died.
Exactly,
I know that.
exactly. But like that's the whole thing with you know, William supposedly going out of his way to terrify Evan and keep him scared of the animatronics and being supportive of Michael bullying him and all that. That theory is based on the premise that Elizabeth would have already died by the time FNAF 4 happens, which would mean the missing children's incident and Charlie would already have to be dead by the time FNAF 4 happens, which would mean that a whole bunch of shit would have already had to take place. So do you want to operate on that timeline, or do you want to just kind of assume that we don't really know?
I've seen that. I've seen a video on that, and I've seen the video when about Elizabeth dying first and all of that, so we can go on that. I know I've been through that part already.
Okay. So, you know, however it happened, whenever it happened, Evan, Charlie, the 5 missing kids, and Elizabeth are all dead by this point.
Yeah.
They're all dead. We're going to move on. We're going to get to 1987. 1987 is when the FNAF 2 location opens. The new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which is the second Freddy's location, from what we're guessing.
Yeah, I remember that.
So this second Freddy's location has the toy animatronics, and the withered animatronics are being kept in the back for spare parts. You have the puppet, you have Balloon Boy as new additions, and, you know, you have Mangle, obviously. And in FNAF 4, we're kind of led to believe that there is a second missing children's incident. You know, 5 more kids are murdered, and they go on to possess the toy animatronics. And, you know, that's all, you know, William's doing. And the puppet starts coming after him, so he just kind of dips. And when he does, you know, all sorts of bad shit happens. So, you know, William comes in, he kills 5 kids, they go on to possess the toy animatronics, and, you know, that is what it is. In terms of the actual gameplay of FNAF 2, we don't know who we play as for the first 5 nights. Presumably just, you know, a normal dude. He has no real lore significance other than being the presumed victim of the bite of 87. Because what a lot of people agree with is that the guard that you play as for the first 5 nights, at the end of the week, gets transferred to day shift. And then for night 6, the person you play as is Michael Afton in disguise. It's him coming in, which is why he gets fired for tampering with the animatronics on his first day. Because if you finish the first 5 nights, in Five Nights 2, if you finish the first 5 nights, then you get a slip that says, "Welcome to the family." Presumably you get moved to day shift, right? That guard gets moved to day shift. And then in night 6, you play as a different guard who gets fired on the first day for tampering with the animatronics and odor. Now, for the odor thing would mean that Sister Location as a game would already have had to happen. Michael would already have to have been scooped by the Funtime animatronics. He's already dead, he's already a rotting corpse, he's already possessing himself.
Isn't he the purple guy, if I'm correct?
He's a purple guy. There's 2. There's William, like the murderous purple guy, and then there's Michael, who's just like a rotting corpse purple guy.
I knew about the second one. I didn't know about the first. I didn't know there was 2. I only knew about one.
Yeah, William Afton, the killer of the kids, is the original purple guy. And he's only really purple because, you know, he's the night guard. He's shrouded in shadows, and the Freddy's guard uniform is purple. So, you know, he's deemed the purple guy because his sprite is purple in all of the, you know, all of the cutscenes that he's in. Until FNAF 6, but we'll get into that later. So, you know, what happens is first guard moved to the day shift. Michael Afton comes in, already having been killed by the Funtime animatronics, already having possessed his own soul and entered, already having escaped out into the world. Michael is going from Freddy's location to Freddy's location, trying to undo the sins of his father. So he comes to the FNAF 2 location. He takes over the night shift for one night, tampers with the animatronics, trying to set the spirits free, and is fired for tampering with them and for odor. And the guard that you play as for the first 5 nights is presumably killed by Mangle in the bite of 87. Mangle being the presumed animatronic that did the bite of 87. Given the fact that Mangle's the only one who has the jaw type to do that kind of damage, and is the only animatronic that hangs from the ceiling and attacks the head.
Mangle's the white fox-looking one, correct?
Yeah. I heard a theory that we were playing as Jeremy. Okay, but here's something you gotta understand, Foxy. The Jeremy from FNAF VR is a totally different Jeremy from the Jeremy that we play as in FNAF 2. Because there's Jeremy Fitzgerald, who is the guard in the first 5 nights of Freddy's 2. He's the first guard you play as in Freddy's 2. You play him from night 1 to night 5. And he gets transferred to the day shift and is killed in the bite. Or he's not killed, but he's the victim of the bite of 87. That Jeremy Fitzgerald, is an entirely different Jeremy from the Jeremy in FNAF Help Wanted. Those are 2 entirely different Jeremys, just like the Jeremy who is possessing one of the robots is a very different Jeremy from those other 2. There's 3 different Jeremys in the franchise, and it's all sorts of confusing. So there's 3 Jeremys. There's the victim, one of the kids who got killed and was stuffed into a suit. There is Jeremy the Night Guard, who was killed, or not killed, but who was the victim of the bite of 87. And then there's Jeremy from FNAF Help Wanted, which doesn't take place for like another 30 years at this point.
See, the video I watched didn't say it was Mangle that did the bite of 87. It said it was Toy Bonnie.
I mean,
that did the bite of 87, that he bit him in the forehead. And it did like drastic damage and stuff.
Here's the thing though, we don't know who committed the bite of 87, like it's never outright confirmed. But a lot of people assume that it was Mangle. Have you ever seen Mangle's jump scare? Okay, you know how Mangle... Here, I'm gonna pull up a GIF. I'm gonna pull up a GIF of this real quick.
A GIF.
GIF. I'm gonna call it a GIF, just to piss you off.
I mean, it wouldn't piss me off. Not one of those people.
I'm gonna pull up a GIF of Mangle's jump scare.
I know that was another one where they thought it was Toy Bonnie who did it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really get where the whole Toy Bonnie did it would come into effect, you know? That doesn't really make sense.
I mean, the question I always have, what's with the whole entire Bonnie, lives in his face?
Well, I mean, that literally just comes down to the toy animatronics, or the withered animatronics are used for spare parts.
Yeah, so they would have taken off anything they needed, yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. So this is Mangle's jump scare, right? Mangle, obviously has the metal set of teeth, very open and apparent, and attacks from the top down, going right to a point that would bite right at the frontal lobe. Which is why a lot of the community assumes that Mangle was the one who did the bite of 87.
The bite is really big. I understand where you're coming from. The bite's really big, and yes, he comes down from the bottom. So wouldn't that mean it bit down from the lower chin on top of that? If its bite was so big, it wouldn't have bit just the tiny place of the forehead. That's where I'm confused about that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We don't really know what happens to the victim of the bite of 87. We know they survive, and that their entire frontal lobe is destroyed in the attack. But other than that, the only thing we really know is that in 1987, somebody was bit by one of the animatronics who was in free roam, and they somehow survived but lost their entire frontal lobe. That's really all we know about the Bite of 87.
Yeah, that makes... I get it.
We largely assume that the victim of the Bite of 87 is Jeremy Fitzgerald, the first guard, who was transferred to the day shift at the end of his 5 nights. And then, you play as Fritz Smith in Night 6, who is Michael Afton in disguise. And gets fired for tampering with the animatronics because he's trying to set the spirits free. But other than that, we don't really know anything else about, the Bite of 87.
Evan's just like a guess, kind of like figure.
Just kind of doing the best with the information that we have, pretty much.
Yeah.
So that being said, at some point, that location shuts down, and a few years pass until they open. At the end of Five Nights 2, there is a news article. You know what? I should just keep Chrome open. That way I can just, show what I'm trying to... Hold on. FNAF 2 ending newspaper. I did a little bit of research building up to this, okay? So nobody judge me. Hold on, I gotta, make sure that I'm all set up for this.
I mean, you go, man. Respect.
Okay. So here we go. At the end, we are told that, it's a minor setback and that they're closing and the new animatronics are being scrapped with hopes that eventually, they will reopen someday with even if it's with a much smaller budget, right?
After being open only a few weeks, Freddy is closing its doors.
The new animatronics will be scrapped due to possible malfunctions. However, the original characters are being kept in hopes of a possible reorganization of the company. It's a minor setback. We are confident that we will reopen someday, even if it is with a much smaller budget. CEO of Fazbear Entertainment. So, that being what it is, FNAF 2 location closes down. The toy animatronics are scrapped. And we move into the 90s. Because this takes place in late 1987. Takes place in 1987, late in the year. It closes down. Presumably a few years go by until the FNAF 1 location opens up. Now, we don't know how long the FNAF 1 location is open for. But the FNAF 1 location is open for a little while, right?
Wait, hold on. Can I just say something? You only get paid $20.10 for doing this shit.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
Being fucking terrorized by animatronics for only getting paid $20 here. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of sad. Anyway. Well, this is only for night 6, though, so this is just for his one night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, because it's not... You don't play as Fritz in, night 6. I think it's night 7, the custom night, actually. It's a minor detail, but, either way, at some point you switch to a character called Fritz Smith. You play as him for a night, and then he's fired, right? So, FNAF 2 location closes down. Toy animatronics are scrapped, and a few years pass. Eventually, you make your way into the early 90s, where Freddy's reopens. The original animatronics are refurbished and put back on stage, and that's the FNAF 1 location. We don't know how long the FNAF 1 location is actually open for, but it's open for a little while. And eventually you get to the events of FNAF 1. FNAF 1 is largely accepted to take place in 1993, just based off of...
that confused me, but can you go back and say that? That confused me, I'm sorry.
Which part?
When you started saying they refurbished the what? I didn't...
Oh, the original animatronics. The withered animatronics from FNAF 2? Like, the Bonnie with the missing face, Chica missing her hands. Those
That-
those animatronics are kind of refurbished. They're rebuilt. They're given new suits and they're put on stage, right?
Okay.
That's the FNAF 1 location. It's open for however long it is, until you get to the gameplay of FNAF 1, which the community largely accepts to be in 1993. Just based off of the wages and, a few other things that I'm not going to get into because they're just minor things that support, a not very relevant thing, right? But largely it's accepted that FNAF 1 takes place in 1993.
Uh-huh.
FNAF 1 happens, you play as Mike Schmidt, who is Michael Afton in disguise, who, once again, gets fired for tampering with the animatronics and odor. Now, when that location shuts down, because what we're told is that nobody really wants to go to Freddy's anymore, it's not doing good financially, and the location shuts down. Like, it's set to close down by year's end. So the FNAF 1 location closes down, and that's it. It's presumed that that's kind of the last Freddy's location for a while. That Freddy's location shuts down, it's abandoned for a little bit, and then, William Afton goes in, destroys the animatronics. We're assuming that he goes in to destroy the animatronics so that he can collect Remnant, so that he can have more stuff to experiment on. Because at this point, Ennard would already be out and about. Michael's already dead. So Afton is looking for Remnant to experiment with. So he goes back, tears apart the original animatronics, and hopes to kind of not only get rid of them, but at the same time kind of collect Remnant to experiment with. And he is attacked by the ghosts of the original 5 missing kids.
Yeah, okay, I know that, yeah.
They corner him in the back room, in the safe room. He doesn't realize that
Isn't
it's all sorts of wet.
Isn't this where he put into the spring Bonnie?
He jumps into the Spring Bonnie suit, and
Yes.
the spring lock snaps shut and crush him to death. Where he is left undiscovered for the next 30 years. Now you fast forward, you get to presumably around 2023. We kind of assume that 2023 is when FNAF 3 takes place. Fazbear's Fright opens, and, Michael Afton still being alive, because he's kind of a non-aging, rotting corpse possessed by his own soul. Michael Afton finds out that Fazbear's Fright is opening. He goes there, and, Phone Dude just happens to find Springtrap, which is William Afton inside the Spring Bonnie suit. So Springtrap is just kind of like around. He's found after 30 years of just kind of decaying in that safe room. Phone Dude brings him to Fazbear Fright. You play as Michael for, those 5 nights until, presumably, Michael burns the place to the ground, trying to kill his dad and free the spirits. Which, we don't really know if it works or not. We don't know if he does end up freeing the spirits, or if they just, stay around. We don't know if the good ending or the bad ending is canon. It's not really clear, and a lot of things that happen later in the timeline kind of throw it into even more question. So, FNAF 3 happens. Fazbear Fright is burned down, and Springtrap somehow survives and becomes Scraptrap. Now, there's a little bit of a time gap between FNAF 3 and the next game in the series, which is FNAF. It's FNAF 6, right? I know we went from 3 to 6, but 4 takes place earlier in the timeline. It's one of the first things to happen in the timeline. And Sister Location has to happen before that as well. So we go from 3 to 6.
You're cool, yeah, I get it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in FNAF 6, Henry, which is the other guy who was running Freddy's, Charlie's dad, the puppet's dad, and William's old business partner, he kind of concocts this plan to gather everything left of Freddy's, all the old animatronics, every scrap of merchandise, every potentially possessed robot, everything that he could possibly get his hands on relating to Freddy's, he brings into one place, and he just plans to fucking set it all on fire. Get rid of everything in one fell swoop. That includes luring Elizabeth as Scrap Baby, Ennard, now in the form of Molten Freddy, Afton, now in the form of Scrap Trap, the Puppet, now in the form of Lefty, and, you know, whoever else just happens to show up, but mainly those ones, you know? And Michael just happens to apply for this job because he sees it's a Freddy's location. He thinks his dad might have something to do with it. So he goes, he gets the job, and he was just kind of like unwittingly the perfect person to be there, you know?
Wait, who's Lefty?
Lefty is a animatronic that was designed specifically with the intent of capturing the puppet. Lefty is actually an acronym. Here, I can show you Lefty's blueprint.
Luro, encapsulated, fuse, transport, and extract.
Is that what it is?
That's what I'm looking at. It's
Lure, encapsulate, fuse, transport, and extract. Yeah. Lefty was specifically designed with the purpose of capturing the puppet. Which is why if you look at Lefty...
oh, okay, he was created by Henry to... Okay, I get it now.
To capture the puppet, because the puppet is Henry's daughter.
Yeah, okay, I get it now.
So
okay,
yeah,
that makes...
if you look at Lefty, you can actually see the puppet's arms inside of Lefty.
Yeah, I was just confused on where he came from because you just said the name. I was just confused on where it came from.
Yeah, my bad. I probably should have explained that a little better. But Henry opens up a new Freddy's location. You know, he builds these new Rockstar animatronics. He brings all of the old animatronics, summons them all there, you know, makes sure that they're possessed, uses, I think it's Article 4 or Article 12, whatever it is, as part of, like, the employee contract in making sure that the animatronics stay inside the building. He builds Lefty to capture the puppet, which is his daughter, and then he just fucking sets the place on fire, right? Which is one of the coolest scenes in the entire fucking series. And he gives this whole monologue, which I love so much.
Never seen.
You've never seen... Oh my god, hold on. So, what happens is at the end of FNAF 6, all the animatronics, William Afton in the form of Scrap Trap, Elizabeth Afton in the form of Scrap Baby, Ennard in the form of Molten Freddy, the Puppet, and Charlie in form...
All of these scraps are after the burn, right? After, I think it's Michael, if I'm correct, tried to burn it down. Is that where all of them came from, or where are these, like...
Okay, so Scrap Baby and Ennard, or Molten Freddy, are the result of Ennard, right? So in Sister Location, Michael Afton is lured into the scooping room. His internal organs are scooped out, and his body is used as like a skin suit for all the Funtime animatronics. The Funtime animatronics form one endoskeleton that's called Ennard, and they hide inside of Michael's skin, and they just kind of like walk about until his skin starts to decompose, and then they like projectile vomit robot spaghetti into the sewer. Hold on. Ennard goes in the sewer. Okay. So, you know, this is what I'm talking about, right? Not what I was talking about. There we go. Okay, so this is what I'm referring to. This is Michael Afton. Okay, well, here, I should probably show you Ennard first. That would probably be a little more helpful. So this is Ennard, right? This is what Ennard looks like. He is the amalgamation of all the Funtime animatronics, kind of formed into one endoskeleton, right? Ennard scoops Michael Afton's internal organs out with the scooper, hops into his body and kind of walks around for a while in his skin until it starts to decompose. Once people start noticing that his skin is decomposing and are getting kind of freaked out by it, Ennard kind of projectile vomits out of his body, and, you know, Michael ends up possessing himself. Here, let me see that. Final sister location. I think it's this one. Okay, here we go. So, you know, this is, you know, Michael's body is taken over by Ennard, and the body starts to decompose. It gets kind of gross. Everybody starts getting freaked out by it, until eventually we get to this, where the body is just so decomposed and gross that they can't really use it anymore. And we get to this scene where Ennard kind of ejects itself from Michael's body. And then you hear Baby. Yeah. You hear Baby saying, "You won't die," over and over again. Until eventually Michael possesses his own dead body. Somehow. However the fuck this happens. Eventually, Michael ends up possessing his own dead body, right? So, you know, eventually Baby separates from Ennard. Baby builds herself a new suit, which is where Scrap Baby comes from. And then Scrap Baby and Ennard are two separate entities. They're lured to the FNAF 6 location, and the FNAF 6 location burns down with Henry delivering a speech, which I will play in its entirety because of how beautiful it is.
You played right into our hands. Did you really think that this job just fell out of the sky for you? No. This was a gift for us. You gathered them all together in one place, just like he asked you to. All of those little souls in one place, just for us. A gift. Now we can do what we were created to do and be complete. I will make you proud, Daddy. Watch, listen, and be full.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth, if you still even remember that name, but I'm afraid you've been misinformed. You are not here to receive a gift, nor have you been called here by the individual you assume, although you have indeed been called. You have all been called here, into a labyrinth of sounds and smells, misdirection, and misfortune. A labyrinth with no exit, a maze with no prize. You don't even realize that you are trapped. Your lust for blood has driven you in endless circles, chasing the cries of children in some unseen chamber, always seeming so near, yet somehow out of reach. But you will never find them. None of you will. This is where your story ends. And to you, my brave volunteer, who somehow found this job listing not intended for you. Although there was a way out planned for you, I have a feeling that's not what you want. I have a feeling that you are right where you want to be. I am remaining as well. I am nearby. This place will not be remembered, and the memory of everything that started this can finally begin to fade away, as the agony of every tragedy should. And to you monsters trapped in the corridors, be still, and give up your spirits. They don't belong to you. For most of you, I believe there is peace, and perhaps more, waiting for you after the smoke clears. Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, friend. My daughter, if you can hear me, I knew you would return as well. It's in your nature to protect the innocent. I'm sorry that on that day, the day you were shut out and left to die, No one was there to lift you up into their arms, the way you lifted others into yours. And then, what became of you? I should have known you wouldn't be content to disappear. Not my daughter. I couldn't save you then, so let me save you now. It's time to rest, for you, and for those you have carried in your arms. This ends, for all of us, in communication.
Okay. So, that being what it is the ending location, or the ending cutscene for FNAF 6. Henry lured everyone all together. He got everyone in one place. He fucking set the bitch on fire, right? Set the bitch on fire. Everyone fucking died. That's basically all it is everybody fucking dies, right? And, like, that kind of sucks, you know? But, like, his goal is to kill everyone. He burns the place down knowing that he's gonna die and Michael's gonna die, with the plan of kind of killing everyone else and destroying everything along with it, right? And his plan kind of works. It kind of works.
You say kind of.
Yeah, I'll get to that. Hey, I'm back. Hey, Foxy, welcome back. So, it works in the sense of Afton does die. Everybody does die, you know? Everybody dies, and Afton in Ultimate Custom Night is in his own personal hell. Foxy. Hey, Foxy, we just went over the entirety of FNAF 6, and we're getting into Ultimate Custom Night right now.
Wait. So you say Afton's and which one?
Well, if I say Afton, I'm talking about William, the killer, right?
Okay.
If I say Michael, I'm talking about Michael Afton.
Okay.
So Afton is in prison. Or not in prison. He's in hell, right? He's being...
Sorry to interrupt. Just saying we might have to end this a little bit sooner than I thought, but yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. Just let me know when you have to go. Actually, let me finish with Ultimate Custom Night real quick. Because I have a funny way to end that off, and then we can pick it up on a later date, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay. So, in FNAF 6, or not FNAF 6, in Ultimate Custom Night, you play as William Afton in his own personal hell, created by all the souls that he tormented, and being controlled by Cassidy, one of the two spirits inside of Golden Freddy. Cassidy is referred to as, you know, the one you should not have killed.
Wait, so Cassidy was that one of the 5 kids, correct?
It's not really clear. It's not super clear. But we know that Golden Freddy, Cassidy, presumably, is the one that you should not have killed, and is the one kind of pulling the strings behind Afton's hell. All the animatronics are constantly attacking him. Afton is just dying over and over and over and over again, right? And that's his own personal hell. And Henry is in that game as a character called Old Man Consequences. When you go to Old Man Consequences Lake, basically he says, and I quote, "Leave the demon to his demons. There is nothing else. Rest your own soul." Which is Henry basically just telling, you know, the one you should not have killed, like, hey, just let it be. You guys can rest now. He's gonna burn in hell anyway. You know?
I get what
and, you know, that being what it is, that should be the end of the Five Nights at Freddy's timeline, but it's not. It's not, because there's still there is 2 more mainline games that come after it, and a spin-off game. Not to mention everything that I just told you. Everything. Okay, so think about everything that I just told you, right?
Yeah.
Throw all of it out the window. None of it fucking matters. Not a single thing I just told you matters at all. And you know why?
Why?
Because we don't know if it actually happened. So everything that I just told you, the entire FNAF lore that I just explained to you, might not have even happened.
Because of these 2 games.
Because what we are told in the next game in the franchise is that Fazbear Entertainment hired an indie game developer to create games based on the events that happened in Fazbear Entertainment hired an indie game developer to make games about the incidents at Freddy's and make light of the situation. That way they could blame the indie game developer and say that none of that actually happened. It was just this crazed lunatic who made up these demented stories. We're good people. Our brand is still perfectly fine. Come back to Freddy's. It was all made up. So now we don't know how much of the first 6 games are actually fucking real or not. Mainly because we're told that he might not be the most informed on what happened. So presumably the first 6 games that we play are games made by an indie game developer in universe who was covering shit up for Fazbear Entertainment. So we're kind of operating on the assumption that we might not be able to trust anything that we see in the first 6 games. Like, it might be an approximation of what happened. Like, at some point, kids do die. They do possess the suits. At some point, Afton does become Springtrap. He is, burned alive. At some point, some of that shit happens, right? But maybe not all of it, and probably not most of it. Because it might not have happened at all. A lot of it is probably just a video game created by a dude who wasn't there and was paid off by Fazbear Entertainment to kind of dramatize everything so that they could flip it around and make themselves look better.
Scary.
Yeah. So, personally, I think that's bullshit, and I think that everything that happened in the first 6 games does actually happen, and that the games, the indie game developer, the games that he creates, we never actually see. And that they are, entirely separate from everything else. Yo Red Panda 4, hey, what is up? I don't know who you are, hello. But, okay, so this is the point, Gabby, before you go. Or, Gabby, fuck, god damn it. Okay, that's 2 for me, son of a bitch. Okay, so Viper, this is the point where you have to make a decision about where you want the next part to go, right? Do you want to continue on assuming that everything that I just told you is true? Or do you want to continue on assuming that a lot of what I just told you probably isn't true?
I want to go on the it's true, because I spent almost an hour listening to this, and I'm not just going to throw it out for nothing. We're going to go on the assumption that it's true.
Okay, we can do that. Alright, well, it was...
For an hour, intensely listening and taking everything, and I'm not going to throw that shit away.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you listen to me ramble about the FNAF lore. I'm glad that you had at least a little bit of fun listening to all this.
Kind of mad now, man.
Okay, but that's the thing. We don't actually know whether any of that is retconned or whether it all still happened. It's not super clear. It's just kind of a theory that all of it might not have happened. But we don't really know. I like to assume that it all did just happen, because I spent the last fucking 9 years of my life charting out this timeline in multiple journals. I have an entire... You can ask Dragon when he comes back, when he's unmuted. But I have literally about 12, 14 journals that are just full of me writing and rewriting the FNAF timeline, and different things that I made anecdotes of so that I wouldn't forget about them.
You just made me think of a whole new theory.
Here, Viper, you're good to go. I know you have stuff that you gotta do, so you're good to go. It was a pleasure having you. Let me know when you are willing to come back and do a part 2 of this.
Bye.
Alright, bye.
Bye.
Okay, so
but
what's your
you
theory,
have a
Dev?
whole new theory. So, like, what if the indie game developer that created all these games was actually trying to make us see the truth? Because if you think about it, when we're playing all these games, we have to do like little mini games.
Yeah.
To
Okay,
find out
see,
the truth.
but here's what we're told, right? In terms of like what we're told, he wasn't exactly given all the details. He was just given an approximation of events. So he doesn't actually know everything that happened. He's just kind of creating dramatized versions of what happened with the little information that Fazbear Entertainment gave him.
Honestly, he could be just giving us everything that he does know.
Yeah. But then that also begs the question, how much stuff that he didn't know that he just made up for the sake of making it an entertaining game? You know? Because he is still an indie game developer.
I'd say the only thing that's kind of made up was the game. I mean, not like the whole game, but you know what I mean? Like, the main game.
Okay, yeah, but presumably, the reason why Fazbear Entertainment does this play is because, you know, this indie game developer creating these games and having this deep, intricate lore is a way for them to cover up what actually happened, you know? So they tell him a rough approximation of what happened, like, okay, 5 kids did die, they were stuffed in the suits, you know, they possessed the robots, but, like, they don't tell him that. They just tell him, yeah, 5 kids did die, you know, they were stuffed in the suits, some weird things happened. They don't tell him everything, but they tell him enough for him to fill in the gaps to make it more entertaining for an audience.
Someone gave him a joy pill and they were like, make a game.
Right? Like, it's entirely possible that a lot of what we see is just him doing his job. Like, he was paid a ridiculous amount of money just to make these indie games, make them, you know,
you're paid a
make
ridiculous
them
amount of
super,
money. I don't
super
wanna,
popular.
Most of those games were just you in a chair,
right,
looking at cameras.
But, like,
what do you mean you were paid millions of money?
Like, Fazbear Entertainment paid him a fuck ton of money just to do this elaborate cover-up. So, of course, if he's getting paid a lot of money by this company, he's gonna do his best to make it, you know, dramatic and entertaining and have it draw a lot of attention. So it's entirely possible that most of what we saw didn't actually happen. I mean, I think that's bullshit, and I still believe that a lot of what we saw, if not all of what we saw,
I mean,
did
I'm just
in
gonna
fact
go
happen.
me and my other friend disbelieved in that there's just 2 universes.
See, here's the thing. I think the lore all the way up to FNAF 6 just got so fucking complicated that, well, because the whole thing is that Help Wanted was supposed to be a soft reboot to the series. It was supposed to be a way to let go of everything that had happened and move on to what's going to happen in the franchise moving forward. So I think that once you hit Help Wanted, everything that happened before doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter.
Like, their story ended already.
Yeah.
I mean, which makes sense, because, like...
Like, the only things that still matter are that everything was pulled to the FNAF 6 location and it was burned to the ground. Yeah. And other than that, I mean, that's all that really matters. Is everyone was pulled to the FNAF 6 location and it was burned to the ground, and that's really the only thing that matters, because that would explain. Dude, you missed so much. Oh my god. But you know that would explain the Blob being in Security Breach, and it would explain Burn Trap being in Security Breach. So I mean, you know, I think that by the time you get to Help Wanted, it's safe to assume that you can just kind of not worry about everything else that happened in the timeline, because that's like, it's the start of its own story, you know? Because that's when you get into Glitch Trap possessing Vanessa, and...
I'm just gonna wait for the movie.
That's fair. That's fair. I get that, man.
What parts are going to be in the movie? Like, what all the franchises that are going to be in the movie?
Wait, what?
Do we know what franchises are going to be in the movie?
We have no idea. The only thing we know is that the
I just hope
screenplay.
it's the perfect
I
four.
want to see
That-
the
that was
Bite
one of my
of
favorites.
7.
The only thing that we know
I
for
didn't-
sure is that Scott Cawthon eventually decided on a screenplay called the Mike screenplay, and that is all we really know. Other than Matthew Lillard is, playing William Afton, the purple
If it's a
guy.
narration story, I hope it's one of the big two.
Yeah, I don't know.
I hope
we'll find out,
if it's a
'cause like I
narration
said-
story, I hope Markiplier does it.
We don't
Chapter
know.
1.
We don't know
Crime
literally
scene.
anything about the movie, like literally at all. We know the
What's
cast for the
the-
movie, and we know Blumhouse is developing it, and
What's-
we know that the Jim Henson Creature Shop is building the robots for it. So
What's the name of the other guy? Not Afton. What's
the other guy who created Freddy's,
yeah.
Henry.
Hope Henry is voiced by or like he's played by fucking Deadpool. What fucking I can't
Ryan
remember his name right
Reynolds.
now. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, let's have Ryan Reynolds
Yeah.
do this shit.
I don't know, man. Like I said, it's too early to really know. Like, the FNAF movie doesn't start shooting until next month, so we really don't know fucking anything about it.
Can't say would it be funny to see Ryan Reynolds?
No, it would be. It would be. But I honestly would rather Matt, Pat, and Markiplier make an appearance
No, if
than
Ryan Reynolds
anything
is gonna be
else.
the story, I feel like he needs to be like a bum making jokes about the pizza place, and no one believes him.
God.
Oh,
Okay.
I just thought of the greatest way for Markiplier and like all of them to appear.
Alright, we'll spit it out because I'm ending stream once you say it. So,
Okay, so you know how like they said that they made games so that they could drive it away?
yeah.
You could have them come after, like have them like as a you pop up in YouTube pieces, and they just do flashes of their videos after they say it would be a great idea. Let's use games and let's fucking frame the guy who made the games, and they just switch to fucking Markiplier and them like pops of the videos of them playing it, and being like, oh, this didn't really happen. And then Markiplier and all of them like making a final video being like, we don't know if it was real or fake now because all of this evidence of the games were great to see and everything, but we don't know if it's real now.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that happening, but I don't think it's going to, only because I think the movie is going to solely focus on, like, the original 4, maybe 5 games. I feel pretty confident that the movie will focus on the first 4 games and probably tease Sister Location. Sister Location and, FNAF 6 and UCN and all that. I'm fairly
It's
certain.
like the big six. I would say they're probably gonna chop it into 2 movies.
Well, I don't think so, because it's been something they've been working on for a while, so they're probably gonna do,
I just hope it's a good 2-hour movie.
It's not. I guarantee you, it's only gonna be like an hour and a half, because it's also gonna be a kids movie. You got to remember that.
Like
So,
intense.
like,
No,
it'll be
no,
it'll be
you're
a
wrong, you're
horror
wrong.
movie, but it's also gonna be like kid friendly. So. So
I'm
anyway,
gonna be sad now.
Yeah.
gonna be sad.
I'm burned out on FNAF lore for the night. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Wait, hold up. I have to say it. We have to end it off with a good note.
Yeah.
my saying.
Go for it, man.
This is your daily dose of N-word.
Okay. Alright. Nobody is watching, or 3 people are watching. I don't know who's watching, but everybody have a good night. I know that I didn't play anything today. Today was literally just about the FNAF lore. Tomorrow I am going to be playing games, so if you have game suggestions... Wait, today's Thursday, right? Yeah. Okay, so tomorrow I am going to be streaming. If you have any game suggestions for tomorrow, put them in the suggestions chat in the Discord, or comment on the VOD, and I will check them out. So everybody have a good night. And remember, it's just a theory. A game theory! Thanks for watching. Alright, later guys, I had to.